Hey, comic book fans, welcome back. It's your Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do the countdown, episode number 112. Now, if you guys are seeing this in video format, you might be going, okay, this was a live show. What happened to it being live? Well, I had a lot of issues with Google Plus, and then I went onto the YouTube streaming option and the video was very choppy and very rough as well. So I decided to go back to the original format for the countdown and just do video format. It's a lot easier this way. The show will be shorter so you guys can watch it better. Now the live show that will be replacing it every Wednesday morning, it's going to be Wednesday morning comic talk, and it is a podcast. And I will be talking about the up and coming comics for that week, the fresh new comic week. I'll be having a topic of the day, talking about maybe some TV shows, and obviously taking your guys' questions and comments live. So that show will probably run about maybe an hour, maybe a little bit longer, hopefully to get your character interactions on there. So hopefully you guys will get to tune in to Wednesday morning comic talk. Probably take place around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I can get some, people across the board to watch this, a different change on there. So enough about that update. So let's get started with the countdown, shall we? This week we got 14 comics to talk about all together, everybody. No digital copies that I read this week. I did catch up on some back issues from series I caught up on, and but that won't be in the countdown. So we'll start off with number 14. All right, so number 14 goes to Marvel's Battle World, Marvel Zombies. This series is very redundant. It's the same thing over and over again. We wind up seeing Elsa Bloodstone go throughout the whole world of Battle World, and she comes across the zombies in here, and she just basically travels with her little partner, and that's about it. But while she's doing this and trying to get back to her shield, to the shield, you wind up finding out that bits of her history on her upbringing, about her father and whatnot, and that's really what this series has. What this series really is about while you read it, and nothing has really changed. I think that with her battling through the actual zombies, I think is kind of cool to look at. I think the artwork is bright. I like the facial expressions in here, but this story just lacks depth and any type of interest whatsoever. We wind up finding out in the very end how her father really died. And then you find out that her father was pursuing her at the end of this issue, and that's kind of what he looks like right there. So I was like, oh, okay. But nothing here that really sat there and stood out and said, wow, this is great. This is outstanding. This has been pretty much the same thing in every issue that we've read. And this is issue number 3. And so I've read 3 issues of pretty much the same story going forward. So after reading this one, I only gave this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's a pretty book to look at, but besides that, no real depth into the story. So, and that was number 14. All right, so now we go on to number 13. And a lot of you know my displeasure about this series as of recently, and that was issue number 43 of Superman. That's right, guys. I don't like the direction on how Superman has truly lost his powers, because this is the series that tells you how he lost his powers to begin with. In the last issue, you got to see him use his solar flare to destroy Hoarder Root, I think his name is, and of course he had to use the solar flare. He uses it like breathing. That's how often he uses the solar flare. And originally I thought it was supposed to be this power that he would use every so often in desperate situations, where for Superman these days everything seems to be a super desperate situation where he has to use this power. Why would you use this power knowing that it takes away your ability to be Superman? And you get to see that again in this issue once again. But in this issue, you wind up seeing Clark trying to recover from him using that solar flare to destroy what happened, just to find out that Horror Root is not destroyed. You get to see some crazy dialogue in this issue between Clark and Lois. And the one thing that might piss off Superman fans in here is Clark goes, "Well, I almost fell in love with you once." And that's got to be the biggest slap in the face to so many people out there, because we all know who Lois and Clark are. We know they loved each other, and in this book goes, "I almost fell in love with you once," and they hold hands. And this book like focuses on their friendship on here, and how Lois really exposes Superman's secret to the world, that he is Clark Kent, because the reason why she did it was because if she didn't, then Horner Root would have done it anyway. But once again, Superman uses his solar flare again in here. Every fucking issue, this guy uses his freaking solar flare. It's so annoying. It pisses me off. I wish this power was never introduced. It's a shitty power. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. This should have been worst pick of the week. I don't know, but at least this was a story in here about Lois and Clark. So that's why it didn't get worst pick of the week, but it just pisses me off. So this one also gets a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that was number 13 on the list. All right, next we go on to number 12 this week, which was Lando, issue number 3. Really love the first issue of this, and I think this is an okay series. Part of the problem is it's nothing really happens. It's kind of just, hey, Lobot's destroyed. We gotta fix Lobot. I can picture Lando's, narrative in there, and we wind up seeing these guys filing the Imperial Guard in here. The funny thing is they leave these twins, these guys that they hired to steal the ship. They leave them to steal the ship, and they're like, "Oh, these guys got the battle against the Imperial Guard." So in the meantime, while they're trying to fix Lobot, in the whole issue, you wind up seeing these guys just go out and beat this Imperial Guard. I'm like, okay. And then you wind up seeing this other guy hired to try to recover the ship. You see Lobot's trying to get his get rehabilitated so he doesn't go crazy. And by the time you end of the issue, you wind up seeing the Imperial Guard. They wind up defeating the good guys wind up defeating the Imperial Guard, and then you find out that there's some Jedi stuff going in here. They come across this Sith helmet, and that's really what they come across here. And Lando's like, "Oh, this stuff is priceless." So there was no real direction. There wasn't anything that really progressed the story in here. You just found out a little bit more secrets about the spaceship and what the ship carries, and what is Lando going to do with these things? Like, we still don't know. So this is the third issue, and I felt like the story hasn't really progressed at all anywhere, So they're still in this ship finding out secrets about that. Well, we found that out last issue. And so, it's an entertaining read, but it's not the best read. And I think this could be a little bit better if it wasn't felt like such a filler type of story, but it can't be because this is just a mini series. So, not the best Star Wars mini series that are out right now for me. I thought the first issue showed real promise, but second and third issues have dropped off. 3 out of 5 stars for me. And that was number 12. Next, we go on to number 11. And number 11 was Old Man Logan. This series is a good series. I've expressed in the past my opinions about the art in this actual series, for the reason being that it's beautiful artwork. For me, it just doesn't fit the book. I feel like, in a page like this, it's great. But in other times, in certain action scenes, you just get lost of what's going on. I think Sorrentino almost tries too hard here. And I want to see the actual battles. I don't want to see like these mini paintings of what's going on. And I think it really takes you away from the book instead of the art really capturing you the way maybe that it should. And so it's a little bit frustrating. But the book story shows him trying to survive in the Deadlands. against the zombies and the symbiotes and whatnot. And then he comes across Jennifer Walters in this issue, and she's been stuck in the cave and whatnot. And really what happens in this issue, they have some cool dialogue. They try to fight some of the symbiotes. This is a cool art page right here because it's big enough I can actually make it out what's going on. But that's a cool page. And what happens is she really basically slingshots him. And now the next place he winds up going to, which is pretty cool when you see him land, he goes into Manhattan because you can wind up seeing the Daily Bugle there. So now he's going to come across Spider-Man in the next issue, which I'm looking forward to see what the story has to offer there. For me, again, there wasn't much here that progressed the story except him just going, this is what, old man Logan has been. He's been shoved off into one land, to one land, to one land, one land. One aspect, it's pretty cool because you don't see all these people traveling from different areas of Battle World, but the story is not really in depth. This one really had not that much to offer to the story, but I'll be interested to see the interactions with Spider-Man in the next one. So this one gets 3.25 out of 5 stars for me, and that got number 11 this week. So now we crack into the top 10. And the top 10 goes into the last days of Spider-Woman. And actually, this is the last issue of the Spider-Woman. This is issue number 10. This is the one before she gets knocked up. The next time you'll see her, she'll be 8 months pregnant. And that's basically what that next series starts off as. In this issue, however, this issue was okay at times because you get to see good character interactions with Natasha and Jessica in this book, because she's like, okay, get your head out of your ass. You've been out of retirement. You need to get to the freaking Avengers because the world's coming to an end here, Jessica. And it was basically this battle between back and forth with them. And she's like, why do I have to go? There's like 900 other Avengers out there. Why do I have to go? And I thought that was kind of funny. So those moments there between Natasha and Jessica were really well done in this issue. The main part of this story is you wind up seeing Jessica, the Porcupine, and Ulrich continuing doing this battle against the sheriff that gamma irradiates like, what's it called? Cows. And what happens if you eat the meat that's gamma irradiated, you get possessed by a guy, and everyone winds up being possessed, and you get to see the cows are all gamma irradiated, and you find out that Porcupine is the one that kind of saves the day in the whole situation. He finds out the secret lair, and I thought at times it was kind of comical. He kind of controls the scientists and the goggles and everything that kind of goes on in the issue. And that kind of ended it. And you got to see Jessica with her friends, the supporting cast here, kind of leave them behind so she can go do her Avenger duty. And you can see that she's upset about the situation. Reason being, again, is because she liked being on her own. She's finally finding herself as a person, because she gets swooped up in that Avenger thing with her trying to save the world against the incursion. So this had good elements in it. Maybe not the strongest main portion of the story, but again, I love those Natasha and Jessica moments. I give this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that cracked the top 10. So now we go on to number 9 this week. And number 9 was Cyborg issue number 2. I don't think it was as strong as the first issue. I didn't find myself going, wow, this is great. This is an awesome book, but it's okay. And I'm hopeful to see where it's going to go. Again, I've said this in the past. What's going to make Cyborg is going to be his enemies. Because always with a good superhero, you have the best villains, So can that standard be held true to Cyborg, or is he going to remain just a team type of character, just like he has in the past when it's come to Titans or when it's come to Justice League? So in this issue, we continue the awesome artwork that's in this book. This is beautiful. Just visually, this book is outstanding. And we wind up seeing to get a little bit more of a back history of what's going on with Victor. And in this particular book, you get to see uh, I forgot the guy's name. One of the guys' name that winds up getting surgery to replace his arm, and we wind up seeing that all these cybernetics are they're doing it illegally, and if you find out that you do it, you're going to get arrested and things like that. So you find out certain things. We find out that there were some cool character interactions with Vic interacting with his cat, which I thought was kind of funny. He's showing off his armor in front of the cat, and the cat's like, "What?" So there were some funny moments in there as well. And then at the end of this particular issue, you wind up seeing Victor still being that science experiment that his dad wants him to be, instead of this son that Vic wants. He wants to be a son to his father. And then we wind up seeing at the end that there's this aliens that are coming to, which looks like going to take over that armor. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It seems a little bit of a generic type of book for me, but it wasn't hard and it wasn't horrible. And the next book will be noted as Invasion. So it looks like these creatures that have this similar armor or tech, looks like that they'll be invading the Earth, I guess. Who knows? But this one gets a 3.25 out of 5 stars, or 3.5 out of 5 stars from me as well. And so that was number 9. Yes, and so now we'll go on to number 8. And number 8 was Where Monsters Dwell, issue number 4. This book is hysterical. It's been a very comical series for me. It takes you away from all that, what they try to be, the seriousness of Battle World. And this is about the slacker Carl. He's the one that winds up being captured by all kinds of what's it called, she-males or whatever, warrior women, as you can see in this particular issue. And he broke the law, and so basically they were going to chop off his penis in this issue. And what happens is his ex-comrade winds up saying, "Hey, go free, go set yourself free," and he winds up scampering off. The artwork is great. It's very, almost in ways like cartoony, comical, because it is the type of book that you kind of can't take seriously. It's just a fun read. And I think, is it Garth Ennis writes this book, right? Yeah. And I think it's great. And it definitely, it is parental advisory. It does tell you that on the book. And you wind up seeing him trying to escape, and he's going to his plane. He wants to get out of here, and he winds up going to these to this guy's invading their land that in the beginning of the series where they almost got eaten by a dinosaur, and he winds up going back to their land, and they were going to cook them for dinner. And then what happens is he gave them valuable information, and he wound up saving their lives against the raptors in the issue, which I thought was pretty funny. And then they all come to this weird agreement that the women were very bad, and so they go to invade the women's land. And what happens is the women were anticipating it, and they cut these little goats' throats, and they wind up putting blood in the water. And there's cool artwork here with these crazy over-exaggerated sharks. You can see that they're eating the actual the villagers or whatever the hell that they're called, and it's just so awesome. But we can see that Carl is just all serious now, trying to get the hell out of this land, out of this savage land, and he's getting the pieces that he needs to build his plane and just jet on out of there. So no pun intended, but fun book. It's great. I don't think this was as solid as the previous 3 issues, but I think it was still a good read, and I give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. All right, so now we go on to number 7. And number 7, guys, this week was X-Men 92, issue number 3, which is, according to Deadpool right there, X-Force 92, issue number 3. And so you wind up going to see that the Shadow King is involved with the whole Westchester thing, and she has all the people in the minefield, and you wind up seeing the X-Force try to come to Westchester and save the day. And the cool thing about this book is I would have loved to seen more Deadpool in here, but they did focus a little bit more on the X-Force type of characters. The artwork is a kind of a hit and miss for me. There's certain pages on here that are pretty cool. I like some of the facial expressions in here. You know, when it comes to Psylocke and some battle scenes in here, it's pretty awesome. The one thing that cracks me up in this particular book is the old school X-Force 1990s art style with the huge ass freaking guns. These things are ginormous, man. I mean, in so many pages, I was laughing because it just seemed like each panel that you ever saw the X-Force with a gun, their guns got bigger and bigger and bigger. Let me see if I can find another picture in here. Like, look at Bishop's gun in here. Dude, how the hell would he even carry that thing? It is just hysterical in the book. But then you wind up seeing that X-Force could be pitted against because Baron Kelly is the one where they sent the Tri-Sentinel to actually destroy him. They managed to resurrect Professor Xavier. He's not killed in here as well. And it was cool. It was cool to see what, you know, Shadow King or Nova, if that's what you want to call her, try to see how she rehabilitated Gambit and Rogue and Wolverine in the issue, which was interesting. And this one will be cool to see how it turns out. The one thing about this book is it's always $4.99 because it's Marvel's digital first type of book. And so they combine all the little pieces together to make one big physical book. And there's a lot of reading involved in this, but it's pretty cool. It's a cool issue. You know, you get to see the little girl hold on to the lunchbox there and try to get Professor X to sign it. So there's some good stuff in here, good moments. Again, I love some of the artwork in here that had to do with the old classic X-Force team, just with those huge guns. It was great, though. So I'm going to give this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Had a lot of fun with this one. I think that one was number 8, right? 7. That was 7. So now we go on to number 6. And number 6 this week was Deadpool's Secret Wars issue number 4. Yeah, this book was pretty badass too. We wound up seeing the whole Secret Wars thing getting wrapped up. The cool story about this particular issue is that we wound up seeing that Janet hooks up with Deadpool, but she only likes Deadpool for what he was on the outside and not for the inside. And I thought that was kind of a cool story because when he actually reveals himself to Janet in the issue, she's totally turned off by him and only liked him for what his good looks were. You got to see the whole wrap up with the whole, you know, Doctor Doom situation. And there was again some very comical moments in this book, which you definitely have to read to understand. Cool artwork that flows throughout the book. Nice battle scenes. The one thing I hated about this book, though, there was always so many flashbacks, flash forwards, a little bit in past, a little bit forward, and but that was the one thing that held this story back. But in the end, it was a very comical book. It was a good wrap up to everything. We get to see him deal with a Beyonder in this issue and how Doctor Doom's powers get, you know, taken away. And then at the end, you wind up seeing that it looks like Janet wished for the others not to remember Deadpool. I can't quite remember what happened, but he wished for his girlfriend, I think her name is Saja or something, to be safe. And we can see that good old Deadpool does have a heart in there after all. So it was a good story. It was a little bit, you know, I didn't expect so much love from Deadpool in this issue, and I thought it was great. So good ending to a solid, you know, Secret Wars story, and I gave this one a 3.75 as well. All right, so now we go on to the top 5. Number 5, and number 5 this week, guys, was Batman Arkham Knight Genesis, issue number 1. Now, I've never played the video game, and I heard this kind of ties in to the video game, but I wanted to check it out because had a badass cover on it. I thought the cover was so cool. Kind of reminded me of Batman the Animated Series. So I thought this was a lot of fun. In this particular book, we wound up seeing really the meat of the story was about Jason Todd in this issue, and we wound up getting to see his backstory, how he was born, and how he supposedly weighed down his parents, and how his father was going to sell the baby to Maroni, and things like that. But we get to see how he lived in the streets, and it wasn't just some little, oh, my name is Jason Todd, this is what happened. It was some huge dialogue, and again, my hats off to the leather on this one, because he had to do a lot of writing, and he didn't exactly write it just perfect. He gave it a little, his little twist on there, and I thought that was really well done. And you wind up getting to see battle scenes against the Joker, and you wind up seeing Jason Todd's life turn around in this issue, and I thought it was really cool. And again, if you get anything out of this issue, it was that Jason Todd story. You get to learn a lot about him, and you get to see what, obviously what he looks like in this suit at the end, and how he was working with Hush at the end of this book too. But I may have felt a little bit not a part of something because I didn't play the video game, so I don't know what Hush's involvement is in the whole thing. But I did get a good Jason Todd story, if anything, and I thought this was a really solid book, and I gotta give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, so now we go on to number 4, and number 4 this week was JLA issue number 3. This was a solid book as well. This was the make or break it book for me. The first 2 books felt a little bit repetitive. There was like heavy dialogue because all they were doing was talking what was it, news broadcasts the whole time, and I was just bored with it. But this issue, something happened, something turned it around for me. And in this issue, I just found it very interesting, where you see Hal Jordan and you wind up seeing Barry land in a different timeline of like Krypton, and they're doing battle, and they wind up escaping, and Barry winds up going somewhere else, and you don't know where he goes at this point of the issue. He just completely disappears and leaves Hal alone, and Hal's forced to do these guys battle against themselves. The artwork is solid in this issue. At times I felt maybe body proportions were a little bit off, maybe not as strong in the facial expression department, but again, I thought it was really cool. I love seeing the world of Wonder Woman's world just completely destroyed, and I wonder if this has to do with obviously Rayo in the book of what's going on with them. But other times when you get like sceneries into this background, that's cool. That's cool artwork right there. But in this issue, we get to see Rayo continue to do his healing amongst the earth, and he winds up healing the sick. He winds up making people that were bad people into good people again. There are no more crimes. The world is getting a little bit overpopulated. The government's having a tough time dealing with Rayo and his little antics here because they don't know how to handle it all. He's curing not only people being sick or curing their mind from being bad, but he's changing landscapes of Earth. He changed Africa from this desolate land of nothing into this streaming oasis of trees and waterfalls and just, oh my God, And so there's just basically nothing evil on the earth. Again, you got to see the government, try to find out what they're going to do. And Rayo kind of steps in and he goes, I have a mission. And he's like, I have to do this. But what is going to be the repercussions of all this? Like, what is his master plan? Superman backs him up on this whole thing. Batman doesn't, and Batman's trying to plan for this contingency. There's something going on with him, and he's going to study one of his first subjects, as you get to see throughout this particular issue. So then towards the end of it, we get these guys that constantly are trying to bring back Superman from Krypton or whatever, from the timelines, from different Earths, whatever it is, and they wind up getting Barry Allen in there, and they're like, holy shit, it's Barry Allen. It's like, what the hell are you doing there? So not quite sure what's going on in that storyline yet, but at the end you wind up seeing Hal Jordan go with the Krypton guys or the Kryptonians or whatever they are, and they're going to make Rayo from that time. Interesting. What's going to happen there? I'm not sure, but this is a good book. I found myself really finally getting into it. It took a few issues. The first issue was super long. It was like $6.99. It's like 60 pages. There was like so much dialogue. They had the battle with Parasite. They had the other story going on. It was like so much. And then this story, it's kind of, getting a good balance. The flow of the book seems to be moving along much better now than it did in the previous two issues. So I'm on board for issue 4, and I really enjoyed this one. Gave this one 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right, so now we go on to the top 3. Top 3, number 3, and that goes to Sinestro Rising, or Sinestro, issue number 14. He's rising, guys. He's building his team of Yellow Lanterns. What's going to happen? We'll find out. But here it says, fear our might. First of all, I've said this already in issue number 13. Sinestro is the book that reminds me a lot of just the Green Lantern series when Jeff Johns writes it. I think Colin Bunn has done a wonderful job at really dissecting the character of Sinestro and writing him the best that he possibly can. And in this issue, he finds this new Yellow Lantern that joins the Corps. And the Yellow Lantern's name is Nox. And Nox is a female. She's like this surgeon. And she's all happy. She's like, holy shit, I'm free from my planet. I've been stuck there forever, for days, She's been stuck there for months and months. And then what happens as she gets introduced to the Corps? Did I say this book had beautiful artwork or what? I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. This is like the artwork of the week for me. I love the artwork in this book. I hope it does not change. It's so beautiful. But Sinestro gives her a tour of what's going on, what's happening with the Sinestro Corps, who they represent. And if you've never read Green Lantern before, this is kind of a good jumping on point because you get a good idea of what the Lanterns are in this actual series. You wind up finding out that they have their own planet called Ranx, which is the same. It's like the equivalent of Mogo, right, from Green Lanterns. It's like he's completely copying the old Green Lantern Corps, but he's replacing them. He's replacing them with the Yellow Lantern Corps because he knows that the Green Lanterns don't exist anymore. They have completely disappeared. So he feels obligated now to protect the galaxy. And what happens is he introduced to the backup Yellow Corps, which is another version of the Manhunters. And then you wind up seeing that he brings him to his daughter, and they're going to be working together to try to finding out what this virus or whatever that's going on that's interfering with their emotions or whatnot. And so Saranic and Nax wind up teaming together, and you find out why really this person was recruited, because they can really, she's this surgeon, and she can physically remove layers of the body to perform any type of surgery. Just amazing. And it was like, wow. And then, we go into this story about, what is Sinestro planning? And he's just planning that he's stockpiling for the master plan. And you get to see him watching over his Corps and recruiting other people. Just a great story in general. And I can't just wait to see where this goes. This just feels like the Sinestro Corps War all over again. It just feels like it's building and it's building. And then when the Green Lanterns come out, they're going to come back and they're going to find out that the Sinestro Corps is going to be in control. Really good story. I definitely suggest this one this week, guys. This is number 3 on my list, and I had a lot of fun with it. 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right. Next, we go on to number 2. And number 2 was a book that really surprises me this week, and this is another one that maybe you guys should try. This is Ninjax issue number 6. This was number 2 on my list. You think ninja, you think I'm gonna shoot Chinese stars, pew pew, do all that stuff, and a little sword battle action going on in it. Yeah, it's a little bit more involved than that. We wind up finding out that the main character has been deep undercover, and the main character's name is Colin King, and he's been working for this Weaponeer project, and he's been trying to take them out from the inside. And he defeated the CEO, and he takes place of acting CEO, and then he's going to go after these top Shadow Clan characters that's within the business, and you get to see him in this issue really act well, really blend in there, and then you wind up getting to see this agency that felt like that maybe Ninjax was betraying the agency, but again, he was deep undercover. His comrade says, "Hey, give him another month. He's going to figure this out. He's trying to take out the 7 most popular, powerful, people or assassins in the world." So we wind up finding out that in his act as a CEO in here, he tries to find out more about these characters, who he's got to go after, and he has to go under what was the guy's name, Saber or something like that, some Frenchman, and he winds up going out and he winds up going to defeat this guy. The artwork's not my favorite. The colors in the pages always represent a type of emotion, which is cool. It's just not my favorite type of artwork, especially when it comes to like a ninja book. I would love to really see like these details and things like that. But the colors do fit the tone of the book. And you wind up seeing a cool battle immense. You see some flashbacks about some girl. I'm still trying to get to know the characters and what's going on in the series. But again, you get this cool artwork where you get to see him match up weapons for weapons and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it was awesome to see him defeat this character at the end of the issue. This is pretty cool action scenes. And now he's taking out the CEO, one of the main guys, and now he's got like 6 more guys to go. So I thought this was a good book. This is very entertaining, good story. Really got to appreciate it. Read it to get the meat of the story, and I definitely suggest this. Valiant Comics, I think, has done a great job here at bringing back their company from from non-existence. And this is a good book alongside with XO Man of War. So this book gets a 4.75 out of 5 stars from me. All right. Last but not least, we get the final book, the #1 book of the week, and that goes to Hank Johnson, Hydra, or Agent of Hydra. Guys, this I'm sure was probably under a lot of people's radar. They probably didn't even know this book came out, said this is a one-shot. Why am I going to get this? This is stupid. There's no point in buying it. It's what, $3.99? Not worth my cash. This is worth your cash. If you want to laugh out loud, this is the book to read, guys. Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra. All I need is theme music behind me to get this book going. If you're a dad like I am, this is a Hydra agent in the everyday world of life. And this is who I am. This is the agent who works for Hydra, and then he gets to go home and he has to deal with his family. And that's what he has to deal with. He goes home. He's all beat up. He has to deal with the wife. He has to deal with the kids. He's got to attend a charity event. He's got to go to a funeral because his fellow Hydra agent got killed in the first opening scene of the book. We wind up seeing that MODOK is like a priest in here, and we wind up finding out that Hank Johnson has to go to the company softball game, and they verse S.H.I.E.L.D. His best friend is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's just so funny. Right after that, he's got to go to a freaking happy birthday party with his kids, but he shows up at the wrong party. He gets in a fight with the mom because he wants to take the present back. It's just comical, hysterical, very relatable, enjoyable, laugh out loud type of book. Even when they're yelling, "Hail Hydra," they're having conversations about Nets tickets for basketball. Just an outstanding book. The best part of the book is when his wife tells him, "You need a promotion. We need more money because we got to hire a nanny." And he's like, "Fine, I'll go." And so he hires the nanny, but his new boss is Madam Hydra, and she's like all hot, and she like wants to hit on him, and it's just so funny. And they go to this function, and she meets her for the first time, and the wife's like, "No, you are getting a demotion. You're getting your old job back." And it's just an absolutely hysterical book. And you find out that MODOK and Madam Hydra are married to begin with. It's just awesome. This is a book to read. This, if you want to laugh out loud and have a lot of fun and, appreciate what a comic book is, Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra is the book for you. This has got 5 out of 5 stars from me. I could see this being an ongoing, just the life and the everyday life of Hank Johnson. It would be perfect to read. Great treat. So guys, there you have it. There is the countdown for the week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We talked about 14 comics altogether. You've seen the worst, you've seen the best, you've seen all that other shit in between there. So guys, now it's time to leave me your comments below on what your favorite comic book of the week was, what your least favorite comic book of the week was. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And don't forget, live podcast, Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Be there. If not, you can just watch it afterwards and leave your comments then. So guys, until that next comic book review, Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.